Hi, welcome to another one of my videos. This one is based off of subtracting decimals, thousandths. Hopefully after this video you'll be able to set up the problems correctly when involving subtracting decimals and perform the steps of the standard algorithm correctly and check your work using estimation. We're going to talk about all those steps as we go through there and through this video. Then you should be able to work on that lesson for 6th grade, subtracting decimals to the thousandths. Let's go ahead and work through a few of these problems. For this first problem, if you've watched the adding decimals, the key thing is with subtracting decimals is, again, we need to always line up our decimals. And addition, it doesn't matter which one goes on top, but subtraction, you need to remember that this one always goes on top. Okay, so the first one always goes on the top, and that's always has to be the case. Some people may say the larger one goes on top, but that's not always the case. It's always the first one when it's written out like this that goes on top. Okay, so we set it up into our standard algorithm. It's 50 and 441 thousandths, and we're going to take away from that 6 and 203 thousandths. So you line them up like that. Again, the decimals need to line up, and then it's just following the subtraction just like you've done before. So 1 minus 3, we can't do that, so we have to borrow from this 4, make that a 11, this becomes a 3, so 11 minus 3, that is 8, and then 3 minus 0 is 3, 4 minus 2 is 2, and then our decimal just drops straight down. We can't take 6 away from 0, so we have to borrow from our 5, so that becomes a 4, this becomes 10, so 10 minus 6, that is a 4, and then we drop this down. 4 minus 0 is 4. And if we look at this, basically if we just take the whole numbers, 50 minus 6 is going to be close to 44. So that gives us an idea. So an estimate would just be 50 minus 6, and that will be 44 for our estimate. So an estimate on this one, if we want to do an estimate first, an estimate would be, I would just say somewhere around 54 minus 10. We could even do something like that. We're going to get somewhere close to 44. So that's what we're going to get close to. Somewhere close to 44 is going to be our estimate. We always want to estimate on these just to make sure we don't make a big mistake. Now if we look at this one, there is no decimal in this because it's a whole number, but remember, after a whole number, we can put a decimal after a whole number, and then we can add zeros, just like we did in adding, to make it the same place value here. So we're going to start again. This number has to go on top, so we start with the 54 in our standard algorithm, and we're going to put zeros out to the thousandths place. So we have the same amount of decimal places as we do in this one. Then we're going to take that away from that, the 9 and 393 thousandths. Then when you subtract those away, we can't take these away from 0, so we got to come clear over here and borrow, so that becomes a 3. Then that would be a 10, but we've got to borrow from that, so that becomes a 9. 10, we got to borrow from that one, so that becomes a 9. And we borrow there. So we have 10 minus 3, so that becomes 7. 9 minus 9, so that is 0. 9 minus 3, so that becomes a 6. Decimal drops straight down. We can't take 9 away from 3, so we have to borrow from here. So that becomes a 13. We got 13 minus 9, so that would be a 4. And another 4, so we have 4 minus 0. That just drops down there. And actually, so close to 44. Good estimate there. So feel pretty confident about our answer. You could always check these by adding this one and this one back together. Is another way to check those to make sure. And you can always do that. So again, we follow our standard algorithm. We have to put zeros out here to keep our place values, and we have to line up the decimals. So that's important. When you're subtracting, these line up the decimals. Then we just follow our algorithm, same algorithm you use for subtracting whole numbers. So let's try a few more of these. Okay, so let's try this one here. So we end up with 47 and 2/10, but this one, since this one goes out to thousandths, let's make this one go out. So we'll go 200 thousandths, so 47 and 200 thousandths. Then we're going to minus from that 6 and 307 thousandths. So again, we can't borrow here. So that would become a 1, 9, and so 10 minus 7, that would give us 3. 9 minus 0 would be 9. We can't borrow from the 1, so we got to borrow from over here. So that would become a 6, become 11. So it would be 11 minus 3 would be 8. Decimal drops straight down. Again, our decimals are all lined up in addition to subtraction. 6 minus 6 would be 0. And 4 minus 0 would just be 4. And again, a quick estimate, we could just go 47 minus 6 would give us somewhere close to 41, and that's fairly close to 41. So again, check these, just estimate. A lot of times using the whole numbers, maybe rounding up a little bit. And if I look at this one to make an estimate, my answer is going to be close, since this is such a small number, it's going to be close to just 21 minus 1, so my estimate would be close to 20 for my answer. So my answer is going to be really close to 20. So again, if I set this one up, I'm going to go 21, and we're going to put our zeros in here because we need to go out to the thousandths place, because we're going to subtract from that. This, so we got again borrow from clear over here, and that becomes a 0. 10 becomes a 9, that becomes a 10, then we got to borrow from that, becomes a 9. So 10 minus 6, it's a 4. 9 minus 2, 7. 9 minus 0 is a 9. Decimal drops straight down. We got to borrow from this 2 here, so that becomes a 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. That 2 was a 1 now, and 1 minus 0 is 1. So that's really close to 20, so close to our estimate of 20. So that would be a good indication that we've went through it correctly. Okay, if you have any questions on these, make sure you let me know. Again, this should prepare you to be able to do the subtracting decimals to thousandths. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you need help, make sure you get some help from me. Also, remember on con, you can click on the hints. There'll be some con videos on there also to help you. And click on the hints and work your way through those too. They're going to give you examples of how to do each problem. Good luck. Have a good day. Bye.